Hello everyone, I hope you are doing well and have a happy April 1st, which is currently where I am, or when I am recording this video. Right now I am on play.velox.com, which is the Gontroller successive server, I guess. It's Bessel and Swift's server. They just had a reset, and it seems to be doing pretty well. They reset it on the last night, the 31st, and there's some pretty big names, and there's a lot of optimism, so I would check it out if you're looking for a place to play factions. Right now I'm just running around having a good time, and I was speaking to some old friends I haven't spoken to in a long time. I'm liking the way chat's moving. It reminds me of Gontroller a lot, just, a lot of people talking. Speaking of Gontroller, I'm on my server on a save. Gonna look at some more maps or some more bases. I enjoyed working on the last video, just because nostalgia and whatnot. And I was speaking with Fuckwalla and YouTube comments and on Velox, and he's like, let's do. Do you have aliens? I was like, yeah, I have one of the early aliens bases of map 3.0. So I'm gonna actually take a look at that, and I'm gonna take a look at Silence, which has that was Kid with the Shoes, I think, and Tiger Sleep. So those are a couple names you might recognize. But first, let me turn off these shaders, and then we'll get into it. Okay, so this is Aliens 3.0. You might recognize the name Aliens if you play other servers, but that doesn't mean they're actually aliens. This was Lane Archer's faction, a very small faction in terms of the number of players. I think it was maybe 2 or 3 max aside from alts. I was new to Gontroller at this time, so I'm not sure to what degree Fuckwalla and King Tundra were involved, but those are 3 names associated with aliens: Lane Archer, King Tundra, and Fuckwalla, I believe, to some degree. And I was just speaking with Fuckwalla on Velox, and he said this was their first base, and they had a second base towards the end of the map, and I don't have that. It was out in the desert by the Desert Warp, and he gave a size, and I couldn't find it. But here's the base. Again, a couple walls, but, that was hard to raid back then. And, everyone had these weird checkerboards. Not like anyone could roof cannon, but they all did it, and no one knew why. But yeah, they were a good faction. They obviously raided a lot and were very, very dangerous. And their motto was, "We do not come in peace." And I think they had one ally that might have been Six Nation. But let's go down. So we got another roof thing. Let's go through. I'm not using any free cam or anything, so I might miss stuff. Okay, so let's go down. Okay, so here is a grinder they had, and I think the download you guys might get might be broken. Because when I was younger, I would just dig through bases because I wasn't thinking about saving them. I was thinking about raiding with them. But yeah, so spawner's here, and it's obviously not working right, but that's fine. Let's see if I can dig through the side here. Shit. I'm going to try and make this video shorter because last week it was, or last time I made a video, it was 20 minutes. And I did 2 bases, so let's make this faster. Fuck, I'm going to break it. So it just ends up that, oh, I know why. I flicked the lever. Where is it? I fixed some of this. There's a lever down here somewhere. I should probably get on like Tiger or something. Okay, here's the ladder. But yeah, basically they could turn off and on the grinder so that it would work. Like so. And basically, there you sit down there, and they crush it. There's a bunch of grinders people did like this, which are really cool. Also, of note, they didn't use creeper grinders, which I'll go into. I think Lan had the idea that it would be better to spend time buying TNT from the shop, from the drops from their spawners, instead of trying to make TNT. In terms of because back then you didn't have TNT craft, right? You had to make it all by hand. So here's like NF home area. Unfortunately, I cannot tell you whose head this is because of how it downloaded and how old it is and different versions. This was like, what, 1.6? And occasionally you see skins, but I can't get any information from it. So, yep, Fuckwalla right there. So we got some tests, pots, loot from other people, Gale and destroyed. They did lots of raiding. They were the raiding faction of the day. Them and Six Nation. No one else could do it. Six Nation could raid with cannons and portal raid. I believe these guys mainly just raided with cannons. So let's keep going down. I don't think there's a ladder down, so we're going to have to go down this way. So if I miss anything, hopefully not. So there's empty space here. They did some weird redstone stuff here, and always fun. But to the cow grinder. This is where they made their money. This is where a lot of factions made their money. And basically the cows fall through. I'm sure you guys have seen them, but fall through the lava, and then you fall to your death. When I was new, we kind of just made them however, but eventually when I started being good at factions and I made Get Swatted, we wanted to minimize the distance between the top layer of spawners and the lava, and we also wanted to minimize the distance that the cows fell through the lava, but we wanted them to not burn to death here. So let's see. We wanted them to fall to their death while burning, because if you have them burn to death, yeah, like that, if you had them burn to death, then it just took too long. And occasionally they would clear this, so I think they tried minimizing how many hoppers they used, because hoppers were, on Gontroller, they've always been expensive. Yeah, so they had this clock going to basically push out that bottom and push it into the hoppers, and it worked pretty well for them. Eventually, or somewhere, there's a lever to turn off the system or to pause it. Maybe I walked by it. Yeah, so it turns it off, and there's a bunch of other redstone stuff. But yeah, this is how they made a ton of money. So let's keep going down. And under here, they had sugarcane, and I believe they had cactus further down. But sugarcane was always a good way to make money. Same thing with cactus back then. So let's keep going down. Down, down, down. Down, down. I think this is it. I don't know why they moved bases. I think land took a break for a couple weeks, couple months, and they gave the base up or donated everything to Six Nation or something similar to that. But yeah, here's a great base. It's always a lot of fun. How do I have this download? Well, when I was new, this was back again, April-May timeframe of 2013, I would go around downloading bases, and I had figured out how to portal raid. So like, yeah, I tried cannoning, but my faction was poor. You guys saw that in the last video. So we tried portal raiding, and a lot of times we could find stuff to portal raid. But if we downloaded the base, went into the nether, and the nether was claimed, you know, kind of game over, we couldn't really raid. So we downloaded this base, tried our luck, and it was claimed because A, they were smart, and B, they were smart. So yeah. Ooh, something else I didn't talk about. So you can see for this download, the chunks actually look like chunks. But if you go to some other downloads, like you could see it in the last map, those other downloads where there's like lots of craters in the earth, Bessel introduced a anti-X-ray feature that if you couldn't directly see the blocks underground, it would fill it with random stuff. So actually, let's try. I don't know. I gotta figure out something soon. But if you try, gosh, unknown 5, you can see craters everywhere, and that's because redstone blocks and TNT would be genned underneath, and that was towards the end of the map, around August, September timeframe, which is when I started playing again. So I'll find it. Maybe silence. We'll go there though. Silence 3. Yep, here you go. So to show you, basically, it was always a pain in the ass because you download stuff, and then like you would look for something and be like, oh no, the map is filled with garbage. And as you can see here, that happened. So I do have some destroyed bases that I know this looks absolutely like crazy. Eventually, I started using, this was before I set up a server, so I started using MC Edit. I would load the regions in, replace the TNT with cobblestone. But yeah, here's a cross-section of that. So if you were raiding, or not raiding, if you were using X-ray to find diamonds, this is what you would see. And when you download it, it would explode. So yeah, this is the faction Silence. I totally thought I would be able to raid them, both with a cannon or without a cannon. I am lagging, which is strange. But yeah, they were a good faction. Kid with the Shoes was a pretty big name. Same thing with Tiger Sleep and all that. I believe a faction like 420 Blunts or something, they were glitching in, and eventually Tiger Sleep and Kid with the Shoes made lag machines to stop it because they couldn't like figure out any other way to get the kids to stop glitching. Both of them got banned. Kid with the Shoes decided to ban evade and got permanently banned and disappeared forever. Tiger Sleep waited it out and was sneakily ban evading, I believe. And as we know, Tiger Sleep continued to play for the rest of his life. Here are a couple people. I don't know if they killed him or were in the faction. I don't know everyone in Silence. Those are the two names to remember. I know Zakot. This is like Wicked Pro was in my faction. Gets spotted for some time. I recognize Tech Deck. I do recognize the Mustang name, but that's kind of it. Let's see. Memorial Cemetery and those killed in combat with Silence. Yeah, so that's pretty funny. But let's go into the base. Again, more of the same roof stuff. More roof stuff, more roof stuff. So, fishing, again, was big. People legitimately socialized and communicated like human beings back then. they were not complete social rejects. There's also a reason why a lot of those players no longer play anymore, is because they do other stuff. Unfortunately, me, I'm a social reject. Fuck. All right, I'm gonna get on Tiger so I can free cam and stuff and move around better. All right, I'm back. Here we are. Got good old Tiger on. So, oh yeah, here's another thing. Lava. I'm not sure if it goes all the way down. Does it? Maybe not, but you know, people would use lava and stuff clumsily to gen stuff. But let's dig on down. So we were just in the fishing room here, and let's go down again. So there is some blown up stuff, which is kind of strange. I don't remember blowing it up, but we'll get to that. So let's see. Random cobblestone. I might be in the wrong save. I might need to go do a different. I have multiple downloads of all this stuff, but nothing of note here. Let's keep going down. Let's keep going down. All right, so here's a room. Yeah, there's nothing interesting up there. Just some water layers. They were smart to have them. Depending on if I'm in the right room, I will go down a layer. So a lot of places, I think I talked about it in the last video, but they would have ladders going from room to room. They don't here. I'm pretty sure I need to go to a different save. They obviously had some sort of grinder, but I'm just gonna free cam down to check. So another room. Ugh, yeah. Maybe not. But I'll check the other one. But here is a like home status thing. And here's me digging around. I thought I fixed all that, but we're gonna go down. Down, down, down. So there is stuff here, nothing exciting. And here's kind of like the exploding thing I'm talking about. This was a vault and it's blown up. But here is like one of the many F homes that they had. Maybe someone filled it with cobble and the system, the X-ray thing blew it up, filled it with stuff. But here's an F home area. And it was always really nice looking at it, but obviously they had some problems. This was probably around the time they had issues with glitchers. Danishman, that's a big name, old name. Muros, I recognize that, but I can't tell you exactly what. Quicksters, another big name. Royce, that's another big one. Let's keep going down. A couple different layers. Let's see. But yeah, this is always like a nice one. They were a pretty cool faction. Assholes, yep. Kid with the shoes, right there. Jimmy Blue Rustled. I believe Tiger Seed was in this faction. Gator Boy, don't recognize that name, don't recognize that name. Tiger Sleep, there we go. So, little room here, always fun. Mikkel Duvid, that's another big name. Silence, we enjoy your cake. Alright, let's see, Cafe Open. 246 team, I don't have their base, but they had a, 246 team is renowned for having a lot of money. And, they would buy drinks, the very expensive drinks from the bar. It's like gambling, like you drink it, you have a whatever % chance of doubling your money or losing it, you know. But they would buy all those drinks and they would stock it into their own like bar and stuff. And like that was just like what 246 team was about, having lots of money. And I think we're basically out for the most part. So I feel kind of bad about the poor download I have of Silence. Again, I thought I had a better download, but here is the faction Daedra. This is from 3.0. This is another big faction name. Common trend of these days was that there were a lot of big factions. And why were there so many? Because they didn't have to play 24/7 like you do now. Anyways, notable people in this faction, I believe, was Barney HD. There's a room with his name in there. But there's some other stuff in here, so let's go on through. So we're going through. And this right here is a pigment grinder, as you can see when I go in. And am I able to? No. Anyways, so we're going to keep going through. Of course, I'm going to warp around too much, but we're going to go down, down, down. And once we start going down, you'll see there's rooms connected by ladders. So here's another little fishing hut. Nothing crazy in here. What I had to do is, basically another trend people would do is, not a lot of people had like the crazy top ranks. So they would tunnel up through the base. So basically they just, if they needed to get to the top of the base, they didn't have a home or they didn't have a warp or whatever, they would just do this. And then, because they also didn't have fly, so then they would just go through people's rooms doing pillars like that. And always you'd have signs in the base that say, oh, don't pillar upwards, or, you know, break your blocks, or don't pillar through my room. and I had to fix some of that. There's a whole bunch of this, but this is the first room in here. I have no idea who it is. That's the only sign, and there might be heads, but I don't see them on Tiger because the heads are always messed up. But nothing super exciting in here. Does it say anything? No, it does not. Keep going down. You know, lots of doors, as if that's going to stop someone from glitching in. But here is someone's room. They got the cobble blocks. Is there lava back here? Yeah. So here's this one again. It will gen back. I'm not seeing any names at the moment. Make some potions. Put random dump stuff. What's in here? More items. So maybe something I want to put. T-Dill 98 fishing stuff. I do not recognize that name. Someone smarter than me probably would. Ladder down. More junk. Alright, it's going down. Let's see. Private chest. Do not take. Do not take. Okay, okay. A little cute little corner. And here's the enchant room. You know, just normal vanilla enchants. Depending on what he wanted, they could remove those. I don't think there's anything in here. So here is the start of a creeper grinder. It's a decent number of spawners for a 3.0 faction. I don't really know if they were a raiding faction, but who knows? Again, I was a total noob during that time. So this is kind of obscure. I'm sure there's another grinder here, so I guess they had to set up the spawners somewhere or something like that. More creeper grinder down. So we got some chests. I'm not sure why it's like that. Maybe they just hung out. Finland stuff. I recognize the name, but that's about it. I don't think I've ever met or spoke with him. So depending on what, you could open up here. Let's keep going down. I'm going to try and find Barney's room, or at least the spot where his name was. So there's something in here. Like a repair storage room of sorts. Incomplete room. More grinder stuff. Some storage chests for this room. Kind of made this like a wilderness kind of theme. You got the gravel steps, you got the food you need, some, you know, webs, which I think was totally silly, but you know, they got to do them. They'll do themselves. Let's patch this up while I'm here. Some chests up here. Back in that room, I was just there. Okay, going down, down, down. All these bases, you know, because it was always left up to the person whose room it was to do the thing, since there wasn't a lot of common like vaults. That is the trend now, like a big F home with common vaults and everyone share. You know, it's just up to those people to build their rooms, and then always there are these hidden little gems everywhere. Do not put your shit in my chest. This is my chest. All right. And here's the creeper collection area. Turn it into TNT and do not sell it. Back when those signs were indeed necessary. Because people would use creeper grinders to sell stuff and make money rather than anything else. Raid room. Okay. Raid stuff. Stuff in here. Okay. Barney's room is somewhere. Barney's name is somewhere. I would think. I might have missed it. More items in here. I think this was their design. Yeah, they had like each corner was different. It's kind of cute. I actually didn't notice that. I'm gonna try and find Barney's name once I go down here. That's how they made pots. You can make your insta health, whatever. Everything would come down, go into the hopper or dropper or hopper. No defined regions here. Is that what this does? Interesting. Yeah, combination of hoppers and droppers would do that. And then Bessel, people would use, hoppers were slow on Gontroller to reduce lag, reduce like OP grinders, whatever. So factions like Sixth Nation would use droppers and like a redstone pulse to really quickly move items instead of using hoppers, I believe. And then Bessel then disabled hoppers, and everyone got upset at Bessel because, you know, that small cow grinder. You can go up here to refill everything. Here is a little vault down here. But yeah, Daedra. kind of filled with water, so no one could egg it, especially when you get down here. Chad's, Barney HD right there, Finland's. I'm gonna try and find the room where Barney's name was in. Okay, I totally missed it. This is the one where it has these items where you push the buttons. But here's Barney's name. Right there, Barney HD stuff on the bottom. What did Barney HD have? Oh, nothing.